Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Today I want to talk about how I had a realization about a certain topic that I was really, I would say, was missing on, and I just wanted to kind of go deeper into it. And the more I thought, the more it kind of became clear to me, so I just wanted to talk about it. Um, so it is true that I've been writing, but I've been writing for like months now, and the more I write, the more I kind of don't really know where the story is going, and I ask myself, like, how do I want the ending to be and how do I want to finish this book? And I think my biggest kind of mistake, or I would say just problem, was the fact that like I've written only 37,000 words right now, like at this point. And I like thought, okay, I thought that my last book was like, I thought that it might have to be like about like 90,000 words in order to be like a decent book. And I thought to myself, I have to really make it long enough for people to think this is going to be a novel, or this is just a novel. And my last book was, I guess, 72,000 words. And that was one of the reasons why I had this kind of expectation in my mind, or just this delusion that I have to write a certain amount for the book to be good, or for the story to be good. And I just had this realization broken. So I just had, and then I thought about it a lot and realized that the mistake is not the fact that I have not been really, getting any good ideas, or have not really been the fact that I'm not really writing much. It is mostly the fact that I have a certain amount of word count that I want to reach, which is not really realistic because every book is kind of different. And I think that sometimes you know, like fantasy books have a lot of pages, and sometimes like they're longer, or like other topics, other kind of genres have longer word count. And I don't really have to have this as an example. I think I can really, that I can really create my own kind of word count, because it really does depend on me personally, on how my story is, than on a word count. And I research, okay, which decent books have, not really too much of a word count. And I searched it, and it turned out to be that The Alchemist, like that's my favorite book, it had only 45,000 words, like only. But I just realized that, in order to have a good story, you don't really have to have too much word count. And you can basically, I think the story itself kind of tells you, okay, that, I want to finish it. And I think you just have to listen to your heart, like really your gut feeling, telling you to stop writing, and, or that, the book is finished. So yeah, I was just kind of having these expectations in my mind of like a book being certain pages in order to have a good story, but it doesn't really matter. So I thought that it might be very helpful if I get these ideas, the thoughts of like, word counts and all of those stuff out of my mind, in order to like be open-minded and just write, um, like a story, just continue writing the story. Because I do know that I'm not really finished yet, but I do know how it's gonna end, and I have to basically just like listening to my gut feeling, to know that, this book has to be finished. So that is the kind of realization that I had. And yeah, it just kind of gave me a very relief feeling of, finishing my book, because every single time that I came and like opened my docs folder, I just realized that I don't really have any kind of ideas left in my mind, and I have to be a certain, like I have to have too many ideas in order to continue writing my book. So that is kind of something that made me realize that I don't really need to copy other people. And yeah, no, that's my book. So, and I think writing is just like a very individualistic, you know, thing. It depends on the writers and on their stories. It's not really something that you can really tell. when I first started writing this book, I had thought, okay, this has to be like 90,000 words book. And now that I'm like, like coming to a climax or like almost kind of finishing it, although I still need a lot of time, I am kind of coming to a realization that it doesn't really have to be too much of words. Like it can be 50,000 words. And I just think that it's completely fine and okay to accept that. And maybe it's like really cool if you just finished your story at that word count than like writing 90,000 words, those words being forced out of you and your story not really making any sense. So mostly it just depends on how you want to really write the story. So yeah, that's just the realization I had, and I was pretty much happy that I did realize it soon enough, because imagine I would like write 90,000 words and I would come to write the book every single day, but I would just hate it and force myself to write all of these words that I don't really know much about, and yeah, so it is better to kind of listen to your story sometimes. And I think back then I didn't really realize that, what listening to your story means, but now I do, because it's just something that it's basically gut feeling, and I think gut feelings are so important because they just give you directions to your book, and yeah. So if you can master your to listening to your gut feeling, it's just such a good beginning to your writing journey. As I've just said really naturally, so I didn't really look at my list, but yeah, I just thought that novels have to be like 400 plus pages long, and I thought that a book that has like 50,000 words is not really considered a real novel. And that was just like a fake reality that, a fake kind of concept that I had like planted on my mind. It doesn't really have anything to do with that. And yeah, so I'm very, very happy that, I got to know about this and I had the awareness to think about it longer and come to a conclusion. And to be honest, I'm very, very excited to write again, because now I don't really have any word limits. I don't really have any kind of like misunderstandings in my mind where, I'm thinking, okay, I have to do this in order to have a good story. I can just like freestyle and basically listen to my gut feeling and know when the book is finished and just keep writing. So yeah, so just like I said, I think like I think that a 250 pages long book is better than a 500 pages long book that is boring. And I think that it's not like the more words or the more pages, the better the book. It's basically if you can write the story in those amount of words, then but it's still being a good story that I think matters the most. So yeah, at the end I just came to conclusion that I don't really have to yeah, I just came to conclusion that I don't really have to worry about word counts anymore, and I finally let myself be free of those kind of fears and just like freestyle and just like let the words flow and not really be dependent on a certain amount of words. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it helped those who had this kind of fear as well of like not being enough to of like being afraid of how much words they're going to write. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.